Okay, and we are live. I believe everyone can hear me okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Nahrin. I'm a developer educator here at Vonage, and I am thrilled to be debuting Vonage Dev's brand new stream on Thursdays, New Stream Who Dis. This will be a rotating stream with a different host and a topic weekly. We're really excited about it, and we hope you'll continue tuning in. Before we get started today, I want to take a moment and quickly shout out our new Vonage Voyages program, which was announced just yesterday, so we're really thrilled about that. If you use Vonage APIs and want to access to exclusive training, early access to programs, and cool limited edition swag, you can apply now to take part in this program. It takes less than 5 minutes, I promise, and I highly encourage you to apply yourself or nominate someone to be a Vonage Voyager. And I will post a link to it right now in chat. Hopefully the sound is okay. I'm trying out a playlist on Spotify, which is supposed to be royalty free. Okay, there we go. There is the link. Is the link. Is the link. All right, hopefully that works. Okay, again, that is the Vonage Voyagers program. Definitely do check it out and let us know if you have any questions about the application process. So alternatively, if Vonage is new to you, we do have a coupon code that will give you free credit, and it's 10 euros, so it's a great sum to be starting off with. And the link to sign up and the coupon code is listed right below me. So I believe if I point now, you'll be able to see it. Yeah, I think so. Hopefully the lag isn't too bad either. Okay. All right, let's get started. So today I'll be walking you through the no-frills version of the Vonage Developer Relations Team's technical video content creation process. Most of our wonderful team already writes for and contributes to the Vonage Developer blog, and we wanted to come up with a process that would make creating video tutorials for our YouTube channel an accessible thing for all to do as well. So most of the software that I'll be using today is pretty standard and may already be on your machines, especially if you use a Mac. That's what I'm using, so everything is pretty much already on there to start with. Again, we wanted to make the barrier to entry for video content to be as low as possible. So it's important that we stuck to the standard software that comes with most of our computers. For today's demo, I'll primarily be using QuickTime for recordings, Powtoon for animations and diagrams that we may want to add into our videos, and iMovie to edit. Video content is super important. I think we can all agree on that. It's why we're all tuning in. It's why we're all here. People are neurodiverse, and we want to make sure that we cater to as many types of learning styles as possible. So with videos, we're making our content more appealing to audio and visual learners, and this widens up how many developers we're able to reach and connect with. Also, this process that I'll be demonstrating is an iterative process, so if you have any suggestions on ways you think I can improve it, I would love to hear from you in chat. I'm fairly new to video creation, to be honest. I've never done it before Vonage, and I have like several videos up on our JavaScript playlist on the Vonage YouTube channel. So I've got a little bit of practice now, but it is a very iterative process, and I'd love to hear your suggestions and tips and things like that too, so I can improve, and hopefully everyone watching here can learn from that as well. In fact, while we're getting things started, I would just love to hear from you. What type of video content are you hoping to produce? Are you maybe thinking of creating a technical tutorial yourself, getting started with vlogging, creating promo videos, recording a virtual conference talk maybe? I would just love to hear what it is we're all hoping to create here. So if you can, post in chat, and it'll be great to know that. Oh, there's some music. So yes, what type of video content are you hoping to produce? Is it a technical tutorial like I'll be demonstrating today? Are you thinking of, creating a vlog perhaps on your process or anything else to do with the industry? Maybe you record a virtual conference talk. I would really love to know what it is you're working on or hoping to work on. I know I have some teammates in chat right now, so I'm wondering if you can all still hear and see me. Because we should be able to pull those in. Oh, we can. Okay. Lauren just says that we can. Great. Well, Lauren, I know you're going to be working on some video content. Do you want to let us know what exactly you'll be building? And Luke as well. Got the entire developer education team here. Oh, and there's Greg. Hey, Greg. Okay, so Lauren's going to be trying some Ruby things, so building some Ruby tutorials, it sounds like, which is really exciting. We've got a great Ruby audience, and I know they'll really value all that. PHP for Greg, super cool. I've actually seen Greg start off with some video content, and it looks like he's going to do a phenomenal job, so I'm excited to watch those. Luke's going to be looking at Go. That's really cool. I don't think there's a lot of Go tutorials out there in general. I think they're kind of lacking on content maybe, or maybe I just don't know where to look, but that'll be really valuable to have as well. So yeah, thank you for sharing. It sounds like everyone's got some very exciting projects coming up, and I'm really excited to watch them. So let's get this thing officially started now and talk through our steps. So our first step is creating your technical tutorial. This is kind of critical because without an actual tutorial, without an idea, without a demo, without code, you don't really have anything to share in your video. So definitely an important first step. And I'd make sure that you come in with a polished tutorial. So really create your demo, revise and refactor your code, get another developer to test it out. We want to be sure that everything works. And we want to make sure that everything works before we make a tutorial out of it. So this is really, really key. I would hate for you to start, making your video tutorial and then realize later on that you may have missed a crucial step that you assumed would be, easy for everyone to pick up on, but maybe it's not, and maybe you do think it's important to include in your tutorial. So it's really important to just make sure that your code checks out and that speeds things up as you start. The second step here would be to write it out. I think it's really critical to have a script. I personally don't do the best just impromptu kind of talking things over and trying to just wing that voiceover. There's a lot of awkward pauses. There's a lot of just unnecessary breathing while I'm thinking of what to say. So I think it makes sense to write a script. And I try and make mine as easy to follow as possible. So when I'm actually recording my voiceovers, I will just have my script open in the background, and then I'll have QuickTime in the foreground, and I'll kind of just read things over, maybe add in a few lines here and there. But for the most part, it's already there structured for me, and that really just helps me sound a little bit more polished in the end result. So yes, that's critical. Write a script. And for today's demonstration, I'll actually be using a written tutorial from Vonage's developer blog to demo. And it's this lovely post by Kelly Andrews, who was featured on Lauren Learns Things on Tuesday. So you may already be familiar with them. He's a developer advocate here at Vonage. And it's send and receive SMS messages with Firebase functions. So I think this is really exciting. I haven't personally experimented with Firebase functions before, so creating this video tutorial is going to be really cool for me to kind of just learn a new skill, learn something new. And yeah, and I'll be sharing that tutorial in a little bit as well when we get into things. So we've got our tutorial, we've got things written out for us to follow. The next step is recording video. I think it's a natural starting point, and it gives us a good foundation to kind of just build on, just having that video recording at the very beginning. And as I mentioned, I use QuickTime to record. So I use QuickTime to record my screen. I don't normally record my face. I don't think it's very helpful with captioning and like future edits. Like say something changes, say the CLI you're working with, or say the tech that you're working with, something changes there. That can really suck if you just released a video not too long ago. So having my face not on there, I think makes it easier to edit out the parts that are obsolete and no longer work, and kind of just slice in and like put in the new stuff. And also, I don't think it's really necessary, to be honest. I don't know how you all feel about it. Maybe you can comment in chat and let me know. And yeah, I personally just don't think it's very necessary, because when you are making this video tutorial, the primary thing that folks are seeing is your IDE, and kind of just adding in that face doesn't seem all that helpful or valuable here. So yeah, I just try and focus on making sure my voice is, easy to understand, it's clear, and it sounds friendly enough. And I don't worry about, adding in my face at all. So it's primarily just recording the screen and then my audio on top. So as I mentioned, oh, someone's commenting here. What do we have here? Lorna. I'm seeing the YouTube channel on screen share. Can you show us a tutorial? Yes, Lorna, I'm going to be sharing it with you all very briefly. Just wanted to quickly talk through the process, and then I'll be demonstrating each bit. And then we have another viewer here. Your Node.js application demo, super cool. Well, thank you so much. I have a few of those. So which one are you talking about? I'd love to learn what I did right in that one and kind of make sure I keep doing that in the future. Thank you, Lauren. Okay, where were we? Okay, so with recording videos. So we talked about the fact that we use QuickTime to record screens. For technical tutorials, as I mentioned, you likely will be recording a lot of code, in which case try to use an IDE and a default theme that might be familiar to most developers. I personally use VS Code, and I use the default black theme, and I think everyone else on the DevRel team here does as well. It's just familiar, and people aren't kind of trying to, like, while people are watching your video, they're not trying to kind of like figure out what's going on in the IDE. It's relatively easy to figure out what's happening where. Okay, so another point I want to make is, while you're recording these technical tutorials, you may have big blocks of code. This is not the greatest thing to type out in videos. I normally actually paste it in if it's like a solid massive code, because if your actual audio portion, right, you describing the block of code is only like 30 seconds long, because there's just not that much to say about it, and your code takes like 3 minutes to play out, it's just not a nice experience for viewers to have that going in the background, or just have that playing for so long without any audio. And even if you have background music, it just seems really lengthy. You could obviously like speed it up a lot. Like you could definitely like speed it up 4 times or 8 times to kind of make it fit that little audio clip that you'll be having. But that's just not a pleasant experience. Like it can actually be quite dizzying for some folks. So in general, if it's a massive block of code, like I'd say more than 15 lines, and again, that might not be massive to you, but it seems it's a sizable amount. I try to just paste it in and then kind of just keep the attention on the code itself rather than typing things out. Oh, Luke is dropping in and out because he's busy reviewing videos. Well, thank you for doing that, Luke. We definitely value the reviews for every single video. We want to make sure that, you know, other folks watch it and think that it's easy to follow as well. So that's awesome. All right, and then the last thing I'll note for video recordings is naming. So at this point, I think I'm going to share my screen. I'm gonna try and share my screen. Let's see how this works. Share screen. Entire screen. Ooh, it's a lot going on in the background. Okay, hopefully that is better. That is not better, is it? Oh no, there's just a bit of a lag. Okay, so at this point, I just want to take a moment and talk about organization and naming. So I don't usually record everything in one clip. As you can see, I record things in very short clips. So it's usually I'll do one thing, like I'll add in one thing, and then that'll be the entirety of the clip. And then I'll move on and I'll record another one. And that really just helps with the editing process, which I think we'll all see later on. So here for this one tutorial for the blog post, I've got probably like 26 clips for this one video, which sounds like a lot, but I think it's just an easy way to keep organized. And especially naming it the way I have, like, for example, this is a Firebase tutorial, so FB1, FB2, you know exactly what order you're gonna wanna add things in when you're editing. So that makes things easier for me. So again, I just record like short bursts. So say there's like one little action that we're doing, like say we're installing the CLI, I'll record that, and then the next thing we do will be a separate clip. And that way I can like associate each audio file, like each voiceover with the video itself. And it's just nice to be organized like this for editing. And that way, as well, if you're trying to swap out bits of code later on, right? Say something has changed in the technology that you've used and you want to remove some files, you can kind of just go ahead and delete those video clips and audio clips and then add in the new ones. Yeah, I'm not sure if this actually will help a lot of folks. I am just very type A and I find this useful for me. So there you go, that's what I do. All right, so let's actually go ahead and start this video tutorial. Let's start creating this video tutorial. I am going to first go into iMovie, just make sure that you can see that. There we go. And you don't have to use iMovie. Again, we just try and use the software that people already have and may be familiar with. We're going to be using something called Powtoon later on, and you can definitely edit videos on there as well. I just find that their audio editing isn't as great as iMovie's is, so that's why I end up using this one. So the first step that we are going to take is create a new movie. There we go. I'm going to close that up because these are just other videos I've made, so you can see all the audio and video assets that are part of them. So we have a brand new project now, and what we're going to do is just add in things in the order that they're there. This can be kind of tedious because you do have to do it one-on-one. I haven't figured out how to do it in like a group like that. Maybe if you know, you can let me know in chat and we can try that out together. So yeah, this is kind of the way you would just add all your clips in, again, in succession because they're all numbered. And yeah, what are we talking about? Okay, cool. And then you would just kind of carry on. And in the interest of time, I'm not going to make you watch me do this for all 25 plus clips. I've actually already done this. So let's just go back to projects and open up this one. where I've already added in the clips in the order that they appeared in the project. And I haven't done any further editing here, so you're still on the exact same page as me. All we did was add these clips into iMovie. And I also added in an intro bumper and an outro one as well. This is not necessary for you to have, but I think it makes things look a little bit more polished. If you do have this, like say you have a personal brand or you're making this for a corporate channel, it's nice to incorporate something like this, I think. So that's how it looks. It's just brand in and out. Okay, and then another thing I added in, wasn't trying to sneak this by you, is these little image slides. So where did our little folder go? So what this looks like is just a plain kind of background with a little graphic, and then it kind of just acts as subtitles. So say you are working from a post like I am. If you have subtitles in your blog post, you can pop those in there because it's a natural break for the steps that you're going through. If you don't have them, you know, feel free to kind of make them up, right? Say you're not working from a blog post and you're just you know, working from a tutorial that you've just crafted. I would just create some natural like breaks in your demo and add in like helpful titles so people know what's coming up. And also these are really handy when you are including timestamps in your YouTube description, because you can hope that people will watch your entire tutorial, but maybe they won't want to. And having timestamps in your YouTube description, kind of just like showing people how to navigate to the different little subheadings like this, like different little sections, makes it handy for folks who kind of just want to speed ahead forward to a certain section. So that's why I include those. And that was it. That's all that we have going on in this draft here. I just added in those clips that we saw in the order that you saw them in. I added in some title slides here to break up the content, and then I added in a bumper on each end of the video with just the Vonage branding, so it looks nice and cohesive. All right. Any questions so far on anything that I've mentioned? Please do comment and chat. I am checking it periodically, so I'll want to address those as soon as you have them. And yeah, so that is the video recording process. I don't want to say anything else about this right now because I want to talk more about this when I'm actually editing the videos themselves. As I mentioned, these are just raw clips. So for now, we're just getting our project going, we're adding them in, and then once we've started editing, I'll go a little bit more into video stuff. But the next step would be to record your audio. So again, I use QuickTime to record my audio, and I actually use one of these. It's a Blue Yeti mic, and it's been serving me well. We didn't have a great start, to be honest, because these don't connect to the new released MacBook Pros on their own, right? It doesn't have that port available, the USB port. So I was actually plugging this in to my old MacBook Pro, which is, I think, from maybe 2013 or something. And I was getting a ton of static, and I had no clue what was happening. Like I was trying to get this video out, and every time I would record the audio, I would just have like static every like second. It was super frustrating. I tried to record in like shorter and shorter clips, so it got to the point where I was just recording like one line at a time to make to see if I could like beat the static and like kind of get everything across before the static showed up. And even that didn't really help. So what actually did help is getting an adapter and just using my new MacBook Pro, which I got from work. So that fixed the static issue. So if you end up having any static, it's probably from dust and stuff that's collected in your old laptop, like mine has. And yeah, just use a new one if you have access to it, and that should help things. Or just clean out your ports. That's probably the best thing to do. But I don't think I'll be getting around to that. Okay, so that is what I use for recording. And I think in general, people in the industry really seem to like the Blue Yeti. I know it's really popular with streamers and, just I've seen it a lot. So I think it comes with a really great reputation. It also has like 1 million positive reviews on Amazon. And I don't want this to sound like an ad, so I think we'll stop there. That's what I use if you want to know. And so when I'm recording my audio, I basically have my script open, as I mentioned, and I just record in short clips. So I usually break it up into maybe like 3-4 lines at a time max. And I think that's optimal for me, at least, because any longer than that, I tend to have like a lot of background noise kind of show up. Like my cat will show up and he'll have something to say, or there'll be traffic going by, or I'll just need to take this really big breath because I've done the first little bit all in one breath, and it's really audible. And yeah, that's kind of what's worked well for me. And when you're recording your audio, another thing to note is you do want to desensitize your mic. And so how I do that is you open up your control panel like this. If you're on a Mac, you open up System Preferences, you go to Sound, and then you kind of just play with your input volume here. This is really high because I'm currently using the laptop input, and I think it's needed. But if you wanted to, adjust this for your mic, I would just bring this all the way down, like around there. And that should hopefully cut down on the amount of like background noise that shows up. Even if you're in like a really quiet space, it's really amazing to see the sounds that can show up in your audio. Like I've had like water drops and stuff heard before, and I've had to re-record it because I noticed it and it was bothering me. Again, type A. So yeah, I would desensitize your mic from the get-go, and I think that just makes things a lot smoother. Ooh, we have some comments. We have Lauren loves her Blue Yeti as well. Okay, and Luke loves his Rode USB. I don't even know what that is, Luke. What is that? Oh, you mean the adapter thing? I hope that's what you meant. Okay, where were we? We were here. All right, so that is kind of what I have to say about audio. And again, because I break up the script in little chunks, like I mentioned, I also record in little chunks. So I'm gonna close that up. And I'll kind of show you what I mean by that. So if I go to this video, which is one that's already out. No, you can't see it here. You can see it here, I bet. No, you can't see it there either. Okay, let me just open up that folder again. Bear with me, everyone. This is my first time streaming. Okay, there we go. All right, so this is what I do with my audio files as well. You'll see all the little chunks of audio that I recorded, and then since they're numbered, again, organized, I would just drag and drop like this. And generally, I like to keep it so that each clip, each video clip and each audio clip kind of corresponds. So I don't have to do too much like processing later on and figuring out where the audio clips need to start and stop. So there's one. There's another one. And one thing I'll point out here is that the first one looks pretty good because there's no just like empty, what is that called? Empty space, empty sound, empty. It just starts, the first one starts exactly when I start speaking. And the second one, there's a little bit of unnecessary time where the audio file is playing and it doesn't need to be. So I'll just like trim these as I place them in. And that way, when you add in background music later on, and there we go. Why aren't you working? There we go. That way, when you add in background music later on, iMovie kind of makes it so that the background music plays at a certain volume based on what else is happening. So if you have like an audio file playing, say you're actually speaking and that's actually happening, iMovie will take your background music and it will lower it, it'll adjust it based on your audio. So if this was like a huge file, like, let's pull up another one. That's not a good example. If this just had like a lot of like empty space around the audio itself, then it would adjust the volume when it doesn't need to be adjusted. And maybe, you know, there's just nothing else happening at the time and you want kind of the background music to be louder because it just makes more sense to have it louder when there's nothing else being said. So yeah, that's why I like to trim them, because then iMovie knows when to play the background music louder. All right. Okay. So that's what we do with audio. And I don't want to spend too much time adding them in, but I'm going to add in a few now just so we have something to work with as we carry on with this tutorial. So that was what? 1, 2, 3, 4, so we're at 5 now. What is that here? And you'll notice that some of the audio files are like tiny in comparison to the actual video. And we're definitely gonna have to edit that later on. We're either going to have to do a combination of speeding up the video and trimming out some excess bits that aren't needed. And then whatever remaining time there is that I'm not actually talking, we're going to put in that background music, as I said, and that'll help kind of transition from one clip to another. So I think that's a good amount to get started with. Let's play this and see what it's like. Right now, totally unedited.
By following this walkthrough tutorial, you will be able to create an SMS message log and a response to the sender using Firebase functions and Firestore alongside the Vonage SMS API.
That's what I meant by short clips, because any longer than that, I would have had to breathe in again, and you definitely would have heard like a big, and that wouldn't have been nice. So yeah, it's helpful to have these short clips. If you need to bring them in closer to each other, you can definitely do that. So you can kind of fuse them together in this sense, so there's no actual pause, like it doesn't sound like there's a pause to the viewer.
Firestore alongside the Vonage SMS API. Before getting started,
so there's no pause anymore, but because you've recorded it in shorter clips, it still sounds, it's just easier for you. So yeah, I recommend trying that if you haven't already. All right, so I think that's good to get started in terms of audio. I'm not gonna spend time putting them all in. What I want to talk about next is adding in a few more visual elements to your video. So right now we have the branding, the bumper to start off with. I have a thumbnail here right now. This will be the thumbnail image for the YouTube video. I don't necessarily always include this in the video itself. I try and include something else instead, which I'll be talking about in a second. We've got these title slides, these subtitle slides, and then we actually have the tutorial itself. So in this one, we're starting off with our Firebase config, and then we're going into our code. And then we have a code, like we have our code for a while, right? Like the majority of this tutorial is just my editor, and that's maybe not the most interesting thing to look at. Like I understand people are here for a technical tutorial. They understand that they're going to be looking at code, which isn't very exciting to some. But it's also nice to, you know, just break things up with some fun visual elements. So what I like to use for this, to create those fun visual elements, is a tool called Powtoon. So let me see if I can find that now. No, it's not here. Okay, I very likely closed it. So let me open that up now. Not in this tab. There. So Powtoon's a great way to create those fun visuals. And I'll just play you something that I've already used in a video, and you can kind of see what it is we're creating using this tool. So how about we do this one? Let's view this one. So there's no audio here, but did you hear that? That. There's like these little sound effects that you can put in, which I think are fun. So yeah, I like including something like this at the beginning of the tutorial, just to describe to the viewer what exactly you'll be accomplishing with your tutorial. So you can be describing the code process. You can be describing something about the tech. It's just nice to have a visual to picture things as they go. Like that's the whole point of creating video content. You want to be able to visualize stuff. And then I also like doing a little video clip like this in Powtoon for the very end, for the demo portion. So some people may want to actually just show off their phone screen like this and kind of just demonstrate like text messages coming in and out. You can totally do that. I just personally like to look at something animated, something colorful. So what I do instead of just showing off my phone itself is I would go ahead and create a scene where we have like this animated phone and then kind of show the text messages going in and out. And then you can also edit in what the text message actually says with Powtoon. It's really, really customizable. And yeah, I think that's just a prettier, it's a nicer visual. Again, personal preference here, but I do want to take you through Powtoon and how you would create something like this for your own videos if you wanted to. And I have explored other tools as well. Like before we decided to go with Powtoon, I looked into Toonly, I looked into, there's a bunch that are, that come highly recommended. I like Powtoon because it is fairly intuitive, I think, or I feel rather. Like once you get things going, I think they do a good job in showing where everything is, how to get going. So what we did right now is we created a blank Powtoon. Here they're kind of showing you the options for looks that you might want to have in your video. So I generally go with the infographic one. So as you can see, this has nice diagrams, and it looks professional yet colorful and appealing. Or I go with Modern Edge. And this one's great for when you're creating those scenes. So say you have someone on a phone in your video and they're picking it up and then they're dialing a number. Like you can animate all that using this theme and it looks really good. And yeah, what's happening in chat? Okay, someone's grinding on leak code and brushing up on Docker. That's awesome. That's amazing. Good luck. I remember those times. All right, so we haven't actually decided what kind of animation we want to create for this video. So why don't we do that together? I'm going to share the tutorial. With you, if I can figure this out. In chat, if you want to take a look at Kelly's post. And why don't we go through it together and see what would be a good fit? So we already know that the article is about sending and receiving SMS messages with Firebase functions. So we definitely want to create an animation, I think, that shows that, the sending and the receiving of the SMS messages. What else can we add in? Firebase platform allows developers to build an application. After this walkthrough, you'll be able to create an SMS message log. Oh, this is a good section to create, I think, a little Powtoon for. We could create like a little before you get started video and have like the Firebase and the Nexmo, or rather Vonage icon come in. That could be something that we do. Yeah, I think that sounds good. And then at the end, we would definitely want to demonstrate the actual phone itself, write the graphic, and test out this function here, which is going to show us that a message is going out and then that message is coming back in. That's what the tutorial is doing. So that sounds good to me. If you have any other ideas, please do let me know in chat, and we can definitely build out whatever you're thinking together as well. Okay. So for the first one, I'm going to do it before you get it started, clip. So you will need a few items to get going. So take a moment, make sure you have both of these things ready to go. Okay. And I actually already have a template that I've kind of used for this. Grab this. And I'll show you what that looks like here. So I've added in these before you get started, like prerequisite sections before in videos. And this is what I've done in the past. So let's see if we all still want to go this route or if we want to create something totally different. So you have the computer, someone typing away, and then you have each of the prerequisites listed on the side. What do we all think about this? Do we want to use this kind of setup again, or do we want to try something new? And if you do want to try something new, what are some ideas you have? Like, what do you think would be a cool way to visually showcase this prerequisite section? Okay, Lauren says that sounds good to her. Okay, does anyone else have any ideas on creative ways we can display this information, or do we think we want to carry on with the setup, the scene that we have here? Okay, I think a computer works. Should it be a phone? That is a very good call. Yeah, why not do a phone instead? Because I think initially what I was thinking with this little setup here was that a developer was typing away on their computer and these are the things that they would need to install. But why not change it up a little bit? Because if your audience is going through all your videos, they've already seen this setup. This isn't as interesting anymore visually. So it's nice to change things up like that, I think. So let's go ahead and do that. So in that case, do I want to start from scratch or do I want to use this as a template? Let's check out the options that we have if we were to start from scratch. So I'm going to use a modern edge theme here. And I'm going to go into the industry section, which has like a whole bunch of stuff already set up for us to use. So if you click on each theme, you can see there's different folks typing away here. And if I press this play button, it'll show me what this clip looks like without any editing or without any customization. There we go. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I like that. Maybe not for this tutorial, but it's good to keep it in mind for future stuff for sure. Here's some other options. So we have people working at a desk. None of these kind of, oh, maybe this one. This has a phone. Yeah, I like this actually. Why don't we use this as our template and then customize it with our prerequisites in there. And then I see another one with a phone right now. And this would be really great for the end of the tutorial when we're looking to like show that they're sending and receiving messages. So this is another template that we want to keep in mind and use later on, I think. Okay, so prerequisite section. What do we need here? Two things, not a lot. So we don't need a lot of room. So why don't we swap that out? and write prerequisites. Maybe. Did I spell that wrong? Prerequisites. No, that looks okay. All right, that's good. All right, let's take away this stuff that we don't need. Actually, or maybe there's a creative way that we can add that in, keep that in. First thing we need is a Firebase account. We saw that in the tutorial. Get rid of my all caps, Firebase account. And yeah, why don't we change this to a number 1 since it's 2 things that we're trying to add in. Does that look, that looks okay. I don't think we need to do it in 2 lines like that though. So I'm gonna just drag it, if it lets me. Wow, this is some music. That's what you get for playing a copyright-free playlist on Spotify. Let's just mute that. All right, and then this is going to be number 2. Okay, and this is going to be a Vonage API account that we're asking people to sign up for as prerequisite. Okay, so let's make this a lot smaller so we can drag it and kind of line it up with the second point. Okay, and then we'll do the same for this one. And there we go. So these aren't exactly lined up. I don't know if we want them to be lined up. Does it look better if it's lined up? Maybe it does look better if it's lined up. So we're going to use this little grid feature here to make sure that everything is starting and ending at the same spot. Okay. So we have that there. And I think I want to line this up with the prerequisites up there. And what can we, do we want to say anything here? Do you want to be like, you're all set, or let's start coding, or those kind of sound cheesy to me. I don't know. What do you all think? Should we have like an encouraging message to get started with the tutorial here, or should we just leave it at the prerequisites? Let's leave it at the prerequisites. It is coming from a corporate account, like a Vonage account, so maybe let's not add anything unnecessarily cheesy here. Okay, so we've got our Firebase account, we've got a Vonage API account. That looks good. All right, so let's see what this looks like right now that we've made these changes. Phone pops up, ooh, and it types it out. That looks pretty good to me. And that required like little to no effort editing wise on my part. And that did look really good. But there are a few things I noticed here. And that is that the Firebase account portion, so number 1 and number 2 started kind of playing at the same time. Do you see that? Yeah, I don't like that as much because thinking back to how I recorded the audio for this section, I clearly say a Firebase account, there's a pause, and then I say next you'll need a Vonage API account. So I don't want it to play at the same time. So what I will do, since it's doing that, is I will drag this, which is showing me that this is a Vonage API account text here, and I'm going to move it further down. So I'm going to have it start at maybe the 5-second mark, and that should delay the text. There we go. That looks good. What do we think of the background color? Do we maybe want to swap this out a little bit and make it a little bit more muted? Text should probably align vertically, but it's a minor issue. You know, that sounds good to me. Let's do that. Okay, so we have it lined up at the end. We don't really need it lined up at the end, do we? We want it lined up at the beginning. So why don't we do that instead? That's a good call. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so we have it starting there. What are Firebase's colors? I believe it's like a orangey reddy color, right? I think their icon's like a little fire symbol. What did we use up here? So it's like orangey reddy. That's kind of cool. So I guess this kind of does work if we were to go that route, right? If we wanted to make it very Firebase themed. We could add in the icons, like we could add in the actual logos for Firebase and Vonage. Is that something we want to do? It works because we don't have a lot of prerequisites, so there's definitely space to add in extras like that. Why don't we go ahead and try it? Let's do it. Firebase logo. And I'm going to want a PNG file. Okay, this one looks good. Yeah, this one looks good. Let me download. Ooh, what did I do there? I'm just going to drag and drop. So you've got that. I already have a Vonage icon somewhere, but it's going to take me a minute to find it. So why don't I just try and Google the logo here too. PNG. Okay, let's do the Firebase one first, and then I'll hunt down the Vonage one. Okay, so you've got this. So how we can add in our own pictures in Powtoon is we can go to the images section and import our own. So let's do that. There we go. My images, add an image. Oh, and I actually already have the Vonage icon from another tutorial I did. So that is handy. I'm glad I did that. Okay, so this is massive and not going to work. And why is this background showing up? This should be, nope. Maybe it's the wrong file type. Maybe this isn't actually a PNG. It says it's a PNG. Save image as. Aha. Okay, so this is not a PNG. Let's find another one. I'm pretty sure I can like convert this. Actually, why don't I just convert it? That might be faster. Convert JPEG to PNG. Okay, upload my file. That did not work. There we go, upload files. Top. Zip folder. Interesting. Okay, so we've got that now. Let's try that. Actually, now that we have the Vonage icon there, the Vonage logo, why don't we put that in first? So I'm going to resize it a bit. There's a tag under Google image search to enable transparent images. Really? Okay, let me go find that for future reference. There is a tag under Google image search. Google image search. Vector symbol, SVGs. Under tools. Thank you. Okay. Aha. GIF, maybe not. Color. Is this where you meant? Under tools? Maybe because I put in PNG, it's like limiting the things that are showing up. More settings. Maybe it normally comes up here and it's just not under color. Oh, there we go. Thank you for sharing that. That is totally new information to me. So that will be really helpful, I think, for the future. Thank you. I need to explore what's going on with all these little drop downs and stuff that they have because I don't know what's in most of them, but that is a really good thing to know. So thank you for pointing that out. Okay, let's go back to this. So I think it would be cool if we had the Vonage icon, the Vonage logo, I don't know why I keep saying icon, the Vonage logo on one side and the Firebase on the other side. So let's delete this old one and add in our new one. Are you kidding? Okay, so that converter did not do its job at all. Oh, actually, it says it's a PNG file. Why on earth is this being difficult? Let me try downloading one more using that trick. Might have the exact same issue again. Actually, no, this, I don't know, let's just hope this works. Okay, so I'm going to delete this first one that I had and then add in the one that I just downloaded using that trick with the transparent background. And it worked. Thank you. Look at that. So our background color we now know is totally unsuitable for what we're trying to do here unless we bring it down there, which I guess we could do too. What do y'all think? Do we want to leave the background this yellowy orange or do we want to have the icons show up? I think that looks kind of nice. And because it actually says Firebase under the logo, why don't we try adding in text for Vonage as well? So that, I already know I'm going to want white font. So I'm going to reduce the size there, bring that down, and let's see if that looks comparable. Make it slightly smaller. There we go. And I think I'm okay with branding to do that, with brand to do that, because white and black are our colors. So that looks good. And if not, I'll figure that out and I'll change it later. Okay. So how does this look now that we added in those logos? Okay. That looks pretty good. But you know what? I actually want the logos to show up when the text show up. So I'm going to drag this Vonage V and layer it on top of this Vonage API account text. And that way I know it'll show up at the exact same time. So I'm going to do the same with the Firebase icon and move that over there. And what is this? Oh, and this needs to go with that too. All right, let's play this now. Firebase account, Vonage account. Okay, so that's better for sure. But you know what? These are far too big. So let's resize those a little bit. And also, I think it would look better if we kind of staggered it a little now that I'm looking at it. So why don't we have the icon show, or the logo show up first, and then have it spell out like that. So in that case, I'm going to, where are we here? take out the logo and have it stagger so it comes up a second later. This is the 2-second mark that we have that text showing up, and then here at the 3-second mark, we're gonna have the logo show. So we'll do the same thing for the Vonage section. Take out the logo. And right now our entire clip is only 6 seconds. Each of Powtoon's clips can be up to 20 seconds long until you need to make a blank slide and kind of carry it on there. So I'm going to, that's far too long. I'll leave it at like the 10-second mark, and I think that sounds pretty reasonable since we only have 2 prerequisites that we're adding here. So that is the text portion. So let's give that a go. Phone, Firebase account. Wait, I don't think this was enough time. So let's do 1.5 seconds. That sounds good, or that looks good rather. Yeah, and I like how it fades in. I don't know if you're noticing that, but the logo is kind of fading in. So Powtoon kind of did that on its own, but we can actually change that as well. So we don't have any sound effects on this one right now, and I do think that we could benefit from it. So why don't we add some? So we're gonna click on the settings icon up here. It already has an animation that I think works. I think it's bringing it in from the top, is that it? No, yeah, it's popping it in. So that looks good, but I do want a little sound effect. I think that's fun. So what do we like? Hopefully you can hear that. Do a pop sound or drag sound, a chirp. I'm kind of liking this whoosh. I use whoosh one a lot in my videos, I've noticed. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that in. And so now when the phone first pops up, it's gonna make that sound. And we could do one for the logos as well, like maybe like a little chirp sound. Yeah, why don't we try that? Something close to a swoosh would be perfect. I agree. We should be able to add in our custom sound effects, eh? All right. So sound. Okay, that one sounds good. Let's use that. So we added that in for the Firebase logo. Let's add it in for the Vonage logo now. Effects, add sound. Which one do we do again? Pop in 2. Pop in 3. I think we did 3. Yeah. Okay, so let's play this and see if we're good with what it looks like. Okay, what do we think about that? That looks pretty good to me. How do we all feel about this as our intro visual? I like it. If there's anything you think we should change here, let me know in chat and we can go ahead and do that. But for now, let's go ahead and proceed with this. It's cute, sounds good. Okay, I'm glad everyone's liking it. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and download the video as an MP4 file. And Powtoon actually publishes it on your account, and then it allows you to download it. I'm not sure why there's this little process, but that's how it works. So right now we're going to publish it onto our account. Ever so slightly move a Firebase account to the right. My OCD is pestering me. Okay, let's do that. To the right. Is that good? That looks like the A's are lined up. Yeah, that looks good. Hopefully that looks good to you too. Yeah, I think that lines up. Okay. All right. Yay. Perfect. All right. Awesome. So now let's go ahead and download. Rec. Firebase. Okay. Select category. Can just do anything. It's unlisted, so it won't show up for other Powtoon users. I like doing the full HD, and it just takes a few extra seconds to download, to be honest. I think it's worth it. And yeah, it'll let us know. So it's actually going to send you an email, and then it's also going to let you know on this screen when it's ready to actually download. For now, it's still doing that publishing thing that I mentioned. All right, so let us go back to where we were, which was our editor here, and figure out where we're going to add that in. So probably going to do that right before this video. And if we play this audio clip.
Before getting started, you will need a couple items to get going.
So that's the audio clip that's associated with that prereq video. So this is perfect. We can swap in that, that video we just created and then take out this, not take this out, move this further along. And that'll be good. Okay, so are you ready to download? Almost ready to download. Cool. Find another song that sounds decent. Okay, this song's called Fire Blazing. All right, we'll try that. Okay, so your Powtoon has been published successfully. Click here to download the file. Excellent. Downloading the file. Massive. Excellent. There we go. Let's bring this back here and then inject it into our video. And then move that audio clip over. And another thing I'll do at this point is start to add in some transitions. Whenever I have a clip that isn't necessarily a part of something I'm already doing, like say it's like a standalone thing, I like to add in this fade to black effect. And I'm just gonna add it in on each side. And actually we discussed that we don't really want this one, do we? We'll leave it in for now. Each side of the video, so you'll see that it's adding in the effect there. And it just adds this really nice transitional effect like this. So it's like goes all the way to black, like so, and then it opens up the new one. And I think that just adds like a little bit of polish. Maybe it's in my head, but I think it helps. Okay, so we've got that there. This video that we just downloaded from Powtoon is clearly not long enough naturally to fit our audio clip for it. So what I'm gonna do is, and I'll show you that right now.
Before getting started, you will need a couple items to get going. You'll need a Firebase account and also a Vonage API account for your API credentials.
Yeah, the timing's a little bit off there, so let's fix that.
Before getting started, you will need a couple items to get going.
So before getting started with our prerequisites, I think we need to pause a little bit here for me to finish up that little audio clip, right, the little sentence, and then move on to the next bit. So what I'm going to do is click right here where things still haven't started up for us, like none of the text is actually rendered, and add in a freeze frame. So I'm going to add in a freeze frame like so. And what this is going to do is just pause the video where it's at for 3 seconds. And I can shorten that time or lengthen that time.
Before getting started, you will need a couple items to get going. You'll need a Firebase account.
Beautiful timing.
And also a Vonage API account. Perfect. For your API credentials.
That looks really good to me. What do we all think? Okay. In fact, this just goes over a little bit here, so I'm going to trim it and then maybe add in another second so the viewer has a second to actually read the slide. So the duration currently, as I said, default is 3 seconds. I'm going to change this to 1 second. And that should be enough time. So we're adding in a freeze frame at the beginning and a freeze frame at the end. So let's play that and see how it looks.
Before getting started, you will need a couple items to get going. You'll need a Firebase account and also a Vonage API account for your API credentials.
Beautiful. I think we did a really good job on that one. That one looks really good. It actually looks better than the other prerequisite Powtoon I had for my last video. So yeah, I think we did a really good job on this one. Thanks for all your suggestions and helping me perfect it. I think it looks good. Okay, another thing I want to point out that I just noticed while we were playing this little clip here is that the video automatically is doing this weird thing
this walkthrough tutorial,
where it's zooming into the
create
slide.
An SMS message log and a response to the sender using Firebase functions and Firestore alongside the Vonage SMS.
That I don't like. I don't like the fact that it's slowly zooming in. It's kind of trippy to me, and Lauren actually showed me how to fix this when I was first editing my video months ago, it feels like. And that is by going to this little section here, the cropping section, and taking out the Ken Burns effect. We don't like this effect. We don't know who Ken Burns is, but he is not adding anything to our video. We're going to do fit instead, and then this will just fit the entire screen and leave it there. There won't be any effects. So let's play that again.
By following this walkthrough tutorial,
there we go.
You will be able to create an SMS message log and
that looks good to me, I think. So we're going to want to do that for all the videos. Again, that can take a little bit of time while we're on the stream. And I know we have a short while left together. So I'll only just do a few there and leave it for now. And if we don't finish this video today, that's totally fine. We can hop on again and kind of work on this together next time. And Lauren says, forever iterating and improving. Yes, definitely. Video editing, I think, requires a lot of patience. And it all is worth it in the end because you have this polished piece that's good to go. Lots of people are going to see it on YouTube. But it's not really like an ad hoc thing. It's not like the stream where, you know, if I mess up a little bit, like, that's fine. You know, the audience is forgiving. You guys understand. With YouTube videos, people do expect to see something a little bit more polished. So I think devoting that extra time to making sure everything is lined up correctly, you know, the clips look good, the transitions are there, really ends up adding value. So I would definitely recommend that we do that. Okay. So since we have about 15 minutes left together, why don't we leave the beginning like this for now? And I'll just show you how to add some background music and how to kind of fix that to what we want to achieve here, which is a low, subtle background sound that adds to the experience and doesn't take away from things. So these are some of the ones that you can add in just from iMovie. They've got a sample here. So that one's kind of catchy. That one's good too. So you can definitely use these, but Powtoon, if you've already been using it, also has the option to add background music, and they have an extensive library of royalty-free music. So I would just suggest you go that route. And that's likely what I'm going to be doing. I'll show you their music library. Images, video, sound. So they have 10,000 tracks and more of royalty-free music that you can add in. That's loud. But there you go. You can use them. And you can kind of edit them a little bit so you can specify how loud you want it to show up right initially. You can add a voiceover just on top of this background music. So you can kind of do everything that we're using iMovie to do with Powtoon. Again, the only reason I don't absolutely love using Powtoon for this part of the process is because I can't edit out the beginning and the end. So if there's like some empty, like just nothing's happening in the beginning and nothing's happening in the end because I finished what I needed to say, I don't see the option to edit that out. Maybe it's buried in here somewhere and I just need to do a little bit more research or request a feature and see if they can get to it. But that's the only reason I don't use it from start to finish. But you definitely can export all of these premium sounds that they have available to you and use it in your iMovie video as well. Okay. And one last thing I'll note before we wrap up for today, I know we're going on almost an hour and a half now, is make sure that you get this video reviewed after you're done. Like you're being really meticulous about this entire process. The tutorial makes sense to you. The demo works for you. Everything looks good to you, but the emphasis there is on you. You want to make sure that this video is easy to understand, easy to follow for a wider audience, right? So definitely get the video reviewed after you're done with editing. And I would ask your reviewer to do a few things. Definitely check for tone, check for pace, check for clarity. Pace is actually a really big one for me. I grew up watching Gilmore Girls, so I naturally talk super, super quickly. And so I always have this little Post-it that kind of reminds me to slow down. And that's really helpful when I'm recording videos or, even in a meeting, just make sure I bring it down a notch. You also want your reviewer to check for narrative, make sure that's easy to understand. The technical aspects of the tutorial. Maybe you decided that a step wasn't necessarily needed in the video itself, but your reviewer pointed out that everyone might not come with that base level of understanding that you're expecting them to, and that would be a good time to go ahead and add that in, right? Sometimes we don't catch these things ourselves. And then also the script. You want to make sure that the way you're speaking through the video, the voiceover that you have is, it flows well, right? Like you're not kind of just jumping from section to section. You want to make sure that you're using those transitional words, you're explaining things as you go properly, and you're not glossing over anything. So yeah, definitely review. Definitely get reviews. Super important part of the process. And I think that's where we'll leave it for today. There's obviously more that we need to do in this video before it's ready for publishing. But I think the steps that we covered today really outline all of those things. So firstly, we're going to create our script. Secondly, we're going to record all of our video assets, right? So that can be your code, that can be any other video stuff that you want to show off. You want to bring in your bumpers if you're going to be using them, like your branding. Bring in those demo videos that you create using Powtoon if you go the animated route, or if you don't go the animated route and you're kind of showing off your phone, like bring those video assets into. I think it's really helpful to see how long your video is getting. Like for example, here we can see that it's 13 minutes and 42 seconds long. That is way too long for a video, in my opinion. I try and keep mine to around 6 or 7 minutes max. And definitely while we're editing and I'm trimming things out, we'll be able to get to that point. And yeah, after the video stuff, you add in your audio files, record in short bursts if you can. I think it really helps. And what else? Then we're going to go ahead with our actual editing. So you're going to clip off any parts that aren't necessary. Say, you recorded all this, or I'm actually looking at this video right now. This doesn't seem totally necessary maybe to have. So I'm gonna clip it out, split clip, and then delete the first bit and keep the second bit. So spend some time editing and doing that, kind of getting rid of all the redundant information or redundant slides and stuff that you might be doing as well. And yeah, and then finally add in your background music, which I guess we didn't end up doing for this one. Kind of went on a tangent, but you would just drag your background music down below this marker here. So that kind of shows that this should be in the background, this should be foreground, and it comes off really loud. Like it starts off really, really loud. So you're definitely going to go into the volume icon here and then reduce that. I generally keep it to be like 10 to 15% max there. And if you play that, you'll be able to see how that sounds. And what else? I think that's about everything, to be honest. Yeah, I think that's about everything. So obviously we're just going to need more time here to finish off all those steps ourselves and make this video into that final video that you'll see on YouTube. But in terms of the steps themselves and what it is that we're doing in each step, I think we did cover that quite well. And yeah, that concludes our stream today. Thank you so much for tuning in and chatting with me throughout the process. I really appreciate you being here and sharing your thoughts on everything that we're working on. I hope that you're able to take something away from all of this and you found this helpful for you. And if you do end up making a tutorial yourself, I would absolutely love to watch it. So please do share it with me. I can be reached at Nahrin Jalal pretty much everywhere, or find me on the Vonage Slack channel and share it with me there. I would just love to see what you're working on and hopefully learn something from you as well. And in our next episode together, I will be chatting with a very special guest. Her name is Paris Athena, and she's from the Black Tech Pipeline. She's a founder of it, so if you've heard of her there. And we are going to be talking about what it's like to have a platform on Twitter and how to authentically grow and maintain that presence. So I'm really excited for that one as well. Stay tuned for dates and times. It'll be on one of these new stream Who Dis Thursdays, so stay tuned for that. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. And where are we? Until next time. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'll see you next time. Thanks so much again for watching, and definitely connect with us and stay tuned for our next stream, which I believe is tomorrow. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye now.